This is the Making Waves podcast. My name is Dave Roetman. We're here with Carl Perry, Senator from District 3. Welcome, Carl.
Hello, welcome. Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, thank you for being on. Tell us a little bit about your position in the legislature. Are you in leadership? What kind of committees are you on?
That's a great way to start things off. Let me give you an idea of what I'm doing. The answer to the question is it's a busy time, but I'm the Assistant Majority Leader for the Senate. I'm on the Senate Health and Human Services Committee. I spent 4 years on that committee in the House, and now I'll be 2 years here in the Senate. And then I'm the Vice Chair of the Senate State Affairs. That's one of the committees that really has a lot of really tough decisions to make, and there are things that affect the state. I'm on the Senate Legislative Procedure and the Joint Legislative Procedure Committee, and that's basically the group that makes the book that has all the information for people when it comes to what is or isn't acceptable as far as decorum and how to present a bill and everything like that. And then I'm also on the Senate Commerce and Energy Committee. I've been on Commerce and Energy all the way since the beginning. Two of the committees that I'm not on now that I have been on in the past is retirement laws. And we got to a point where we had $14.6 billion set aside for retirements. So we take really good care of our people. We also had taxation, and taxation is a very learning committee. And so I had a chance to work on that too, but I work on a lot of different things. I am a Christian, conservative, and constitutional type candidate.
Those are all very, very important committees. Retirement, $14.6 billion. I understand South Dakota takes the retirement system very seriously, unlike some other states who loot their retirement systems, and we have ours 100% funded.
In the fact that we pay well, there's a lady that's 107 years old still receiving a retirement check from the South Dakota Retirement System. So it's a system that continues to pay for a long time.
You are part of some other committees too, like interim committees that do summer studies. Could you tell us a little about those?
Well, thank you for asking. When we deal with the interim committees, the committees that were covered this year were CSP, Community Service Providers, the Prison Reset, I would call that one of the interim studies, the EMS, Emergency Management System, and then marijuana. That was I think they had some heated meetings there, the initial incarceration meetings. And I was part of the initial incarceration meeting. That was held on a couple different times. But let me give you a little bit of information on that.
Could you expound upon the prison committee?
First on the initial incarceration, basically we had different things that we asked about. They asked what we really wanted to do. Four of the things that I had listed out was reform, recidivism, and rehabilitation, and then actually revival, because we've had a couple different people that talked about we should do more things with Christianity, and that the recidivism rate on people that have went through some spiritual guidance type thing is a lot lower than the ones that haven't. And so I think there's some different things, but what I wanted to say was on that particular committee is we should expand education, job training, and work with technical schools and employees and employers, and then strengthen our reentry and transitional support, try to get so we have more halfway houses. We utilize the things that we have like Teen Challenge, and Teen Challenge is actually Adult Challenge. I don't know why it keeps the name teen. And then expand mental health and substance abuse and some of the treatment programs, and train and inform our staff better. There's a lot of things that we can do, and it's going to expand because the governor does have the future rehabilitation committee going, and I think that's really good for us.
It seems to me that life has to have purpose and meaning, and you're talking about bringing in some ministry and teaching people to give their lives, to have their lives meaning and purpose, and that alone should help recidivism rates, because without that kind of purpose, people are lost and they turn to drugs because of the emptiness in their lives. And this seems to me to be very important. Do you think that's going to be advanced in the future?
Absolutely. It's going to make a big difference for South Dakota. Our chairman for this particular event, I think that once in a while you have to give a kudo to different people, but Kevin Jensen and Greg Jameson were our chairman of our initial incarceration group. I think they did a superb job in leading us in the right direction. We've had some really great people come in to talk, and then we had Bert Kane come in, and he was the corrections person. They had an interesting program. I think an answer to your question is we're not there yet, but at least we realize that we're not there yet, and we're trying to do the right things to make that happen.
Going back to something you said a little bit earlier, service providers, you're referring to nursing homes and care facilities?
The answer is it would be for several different things. The people that are service providers, are you talking about for the prisons?
You mentioned one of the early committees that you had.
The community service providers. Yeah, that
Right.
was there's a lot to that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that, when you're dealing with that, you're dealing with the nursing homes, the people that are less privileged than we are, like the Lifescape, Dakota Abilities, or up in Aberdeen, Fire. Those all need more attention, and that's really what that committee was all about. I wasn't on that committee, but I felt like they really made some good headway with what they were trying to accomplish.
Those are critical issues, and I know several legislators have been working on that quietly. Most people don't realize, how much work the legislature's been doing on those. But those are critical issues. People can't afford their retirement, can't afford to be in nursing homes. And nursing homes, some of them are going out of business. And right when the population of elderly care is increasing. And you think there's going to be some more progress on that issue?
I think so. Way back when I first started, Steve McCary was in the District 1. I was in District 3. And we worked on a couple nursing home bills. Nursing home and the things with community service providers, sometimes it's easier to sweep it under the rug and pretend like there isn't a problem, but there are some problems. And nursing homes, we need to do more because the baby boomers are going to fill these places a lot. I think we're going to have more issues with that than we're really ready to deal with. The biggest problem that we have with nursing homes is not necessarily enough beds, but enough people to work those. We need to really work on workforce development. And we have several things that we're doing in the state to enhance workforce, but we need to do even more.
So what other communities have you been working on? I know you've been traveling and working on some tribal relations.
So I went to the tribal relations meeting in Sisseton. I go to these meetings not from the standpoint of trying to tell anybody what to do, but if we're going to be a good legislator, which is what we all try to be, we need to learn more about more areas of our state, because it's not about the little things that we know. It's about doing a lot of different things. We need to really, I guess, in order to be a good legislator in the state of South Dakota, we need to be connected to our constituents. And the way we get connected to our constituents is look at the things that are important to them. The more we know about different areas of the state, the better job we can do. There's a lot of people that get focused on one area, and there's so many areas that we need to be focused on. And so that's my role, is I try to learn as much as I can because we have an important job to do.
That's a good point. You have to maintain those relationships. So what's going to be coming up in 2026, the next legislative session? Any bills you're carrying, anything you're expecting to happen?
Well, I think one of the things that's going to be the big thing for 2026 is property tax. I know we have 216, which was the governor's tax bill. That's not going to be enough. And there's other tax ideas that are being thrown around, like the transaction tax. There's other property tax things that are coming along, but it's kind of like a whack-a-mole and in a carnival. You knock one thing down and another one or two pop up. Property tax is going to be a tough issue to really get our arms around, but it is really important to people. And I think we're also going to have more information on airports. Aberdeen, the community I'm in, is the third largest city in the state. We're an EAS, Essential Air Service area. We do really well with our airport, but we need to make sure that all of our airports are working efficiently. And housing is going to be a big issue. Having affordable housing is probably a better way to put it. I'm not looking at giveaway programs, but I'm looking at programs that will be utilized so that more people can participate in housing. Child care will be an issue. It's becoming very expensive to have our child care taken care of. So that makes a difference on whether a person can be at work or should be at work. And then sales tax is going to be another issue. Our 4.2% that we lowered to, the sunset is coming, I think, in 26 or 27. And so if the sunset hits, then it'll go back up to 4.5%. And if we go back up to 4.5%, what do we do with that extra money? And I think we're going to have an issue coming up in the future with less money because the government, the federal government, probably isn't going to be as generous as they once were because we don't have that extra COVID money and things like that to rely on. I think we're going to have to do a better job. Even though we're doing a better job, we need to even do better than we're doing now in order to make things balance in the future.
I think that's inevitable given the federal deficit. Can't rely upon or expect federal dollars to come into South Dakota. We're going to have to wean ourselves away from the federal teat. Tell us a little bit about the REINS Act.
Another good question. We, Al Novstrup, Representative Al Novstrup, he's also the Vice Chair of Appropriation for the House. He and I were invited to Washington, D.C. for a Capitol Leaders fly-in. It's an American for Prosperity program. But basically what they did was they have a national bill that went through the House and also went through the Senate. And it's a tool for instituting more oversight by the legislative branches. And the REINS stands for Regulations from the Executive in Need of Scrutiny Act. It has a couple people from the House that were really active on it. Tony from Tennessee visited with us and gave us a tour of the Capitol. Kat Comack is one of the primary sponsors of that bill. And then we go over to the Senate side, and Mike Rounds is one of the supporters of that bill, and Mike is naturally from South Dakota. And then Senator Mike Lee, United States Senator from Utah, is another big proponent of that. This was a chance for us to look at proven tools, emerging trends, different things to be able to cut some red tape and restore accountability to our national government. What they're looking at with us being there was 26 legislators. The idea is for us to take their ideas and implement those into our states. And the one thing that we did learn is that South Dakota is doing a better job than most states. And I think we all knew that. We can even do better than what we're doing now. And that's really what we're looking at, is how we can be even better than what we are.
There's always room for improvement. So are there any other events or committees that you'd like to discuss?
Well, there's lots of things that have happened. I guess it's really hard to pinpoint just exactly what the greatest things were. But one of the things that was very interesting to me was when we went to Deer Creek, and we had the opportunity to tour the Deer Creek station that is over by Elkton, South Dakota. This is an electric cooperative network in South Dakota. It combines cycle natural gas power plant owned and operated by the Basin Electric Power Cooperative, several member owned across the region with affordable, reliable power. It was one of those things where we had an opportunity to see the actual works of that plant. We had, for people that were there, it was toured by Vilhauer from Watertown and Jensen and Melhoff and myself for senators. And then it was Rowe and Welberg, Cole and DeGroot and Weems as representatives. So we had 9 people there. And if there's 105 senators and representatives, basically we had 10% of the legislative group present there looking at that. I think that they accomplished what they wanted, which was let us know exactly what they're doing. Another area that's really important is the prison that did get passed. You probably know more about it than most people, but there were 4 meetings on the prison, on the reset task force. Roden, he worked really hard to work with the rehabilitation group in the future, and the correctional rehabilitation task force will really make a difference. But that thing was built in 1881, and it went from 825 million for expense to 650 million. It's located up on the Benson Road, so the location was desirable for people versus what it was before. We kept the size at 1,500 inmates, and we replaced the Secretary of Correction. I think that with all the different things that went on with the prison, we have now got a package that people are endorsing, looking forward to. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think we're going to do some really good things there.
Mm-hmm. Final question. What's important to District 3?
You hit on something that's really important, and that is in our area, the REINS program, which is water investment in northern South Dakota. This really takes the BDM, which is the Brown, Day, and Marshall area, Aberdeen, and then Webb, and combines them together to work together for growth and economic development. This is a way to get water where it needs to be. We think that South Dakota in the water situation is extremely important. That's why we hit on that one. And then the other one that's important in this area is Northern State University. We really believe that the regional program and the Board of Regents are excellent for South Dakota. For our area, Northern State University does something that I don't think they pat themselves on the back enough on, and that's their e-learning program. There are 3,500 kids throughout the state that get extra training from teachers that they would not get in their own classrooms. And what I'm talking about is things like physics or Spanish and French or whatever. They are given things that they could not get where they're located. The e-learning program is really good. And the state itself, there are 66 counties, I think it is. We have 65 of them that are actually benefiting from this program. So this is one of those underutilized programs as far as being financed, but it's also underutilized, or it is not spoken of enough for all the good things that it's doing. It's making a difference in South Dakota. And if we train these kids correctly and let them know how important it is to have all this training, they're going to stay here. We're going to keep kids because of that program. We got a new president. That would be another thing that's really cool. The president that we got actually was in Northern State University, went to school, worked in administration here, and became the dean of the college for music. And then he also was a provost here. And then he went up to North Dakota, and he worked with Valley City State University as a president. And now he's back in Aberdeen, and that's Dr. Al LaFave. Excellent person, going to do a great job for Aberdeen area, for northeastern South Dakota, and for all of South Dakota. Those are two things that are really high on my priority list for this area, would be water and the education.
Carl, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Man, I tell you, I think I gave you a lot of thoughts already, but
You did.
My final thought is we have a job to do. You know, what's really important is that we need to sit there and know that no matter what we do, it's not so much that we take credit for something, it's that we get the job done. We can do so little alone, but together we can do so much. And that's why, you know, one of the things that you know and that I know is that District 23, District 3, and District 1 work really well together. And the reason for that is we are in such a rural area. We go from the Minnesota border all the way over to the river by Mobridge, and we have all the way along North Dakota, and then we go south. We have such a huge area for our district, our 3 districts, that we need to work together to get things done. A final quote that I might give you is, a boat doesn't go forward if each one is rowing in their own way. We need to work together in order for this state to be successful. And so my final statement is that I'm going to do all I can as the assistant majority leader to make sure that the Senate's working together. And I'm going to do all I can in the northeastern South Dakota to work with my fellow legislators to make sure that we're doing all we can for our people. Because we are elected to get the job done. And I represent 26,500 people in this area alone and 940,000 people in the state. That's a lot of people to represent. The bottom line is we either work hard and get the job done, or they're going to find somebody who will work hard and get the job done.
Carl, thank you very much for being with us. This is Making Waves Podcast. My name is Dave Roetman. We've been with Senator Carl Perry of District 3. Thanks, Carl.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.